This episode is sponsored by DroneWorks Ireland, your go-to place when it comes to buying a drone, repairing a drone, and also when you need professionals to carry out any aerial work you may need. Check out their website at www.droneworksireland.ie. Now in part one of the show, I'm delighted to be joined by Fitzgibbon Cup University of Galway manager Frank Lohan. Frank, it's probably a difficult week in one sense, obviously, with the Fitzgibbon Cup final on this week, and University of Galway just narrowly missing out on a place there.
Yeah, it is, Paul. It's where we wanted to be was probably in the final, but just I suppose a narrow loss last week, and that's the end of the road for us, But a lot of positives from the year, so maybe we'll just hang on those really, But yeah, we were just a bit shy last Wednesday, and yeah, didn't get to the final, unfortunately.
Is there positives to be taken considering, I suppose, 12 months ago you didn't get out of the group, and then this year to go to semi-final, can you take positives from that?
Yeah. Look, it's all about progress. And look, last year we came in kind of late in the day, and you kind of have to hit the ground running in Fitzgibbon. You have to try and progress well in the league and give yourself a chance with a better draw. If you get to semi-final league, you get a better draw for the Fitzgibbon. So that's what we did this year, and we got semi-final league, and you're seeded then. And yeah, we just, I suppose we weren't, I say players, management alike weren't happy with last year. We probably felt we were better than that, and the lads put in a great effort this year, and quality is very, very, very high. A lot of very, very good teams on show and very, very good players. But it was probably definitely progress from last year anyway, and ultimately we fell a bit short, but it wasn't from the lack of trying from the lads. They put in a super effort, and we were right in it coming down towards the line, and just didn't get there at the end.
If I take you back to the UL game last week, has it been difficult maybe to think about, I suppose, because there was some really key moments in that game. Has it been difficult to try and get those moments out of your head in the last week?
It has, Paul. I'll be honest. There's one or two key moments there that went against us, and but look, ultimately, we said we wanted to be in it in the second half and coming down the stretch, and we were there, and the lads gave it a right all shot, and some really really good performances. I think guys, um, very good campaigns, and progressed very well in it. So yes. So look, overall, the lads really, really gave a good account of themselves, and we had a right crack at the match, really. So look, it was probably there at the end. The free went against us, and that was a tough one to take. It was most people couldn't understand why it wasn't a free out, and it turned out to be a free in, and that shifted the momentum to them. It put them 2 points up, whereas we had all the momentum in the second half, and we really had a really great second half of hurling. Some super scores and super play, and guys just really got themselves into it. We left a few behind then, but it's look, the standard you're up against is very very high. So you're not a team like UL, and the standard they have. You're not going to dominate for. But we're very very proud of the lads and the effort they gave.
In the preparation for the UL game, Frank, what was that like? Because no point in saying otherwise. It's a star-studded UL team, and a lot is being made of even their squad overall. If you look at it between all the different county representatives, how was it preparing the team to take UL on and go toe to toe with them?
Yeah, look, the Fitzgibbon is different. So we've a nice big panel, and they're all committed this year. But you do have lads with different. I suppose load is the main thing with the county squads, but all the players are really invested in it, and just I suppose once you get them together, where you're just trying to prepare in as best you can, So it's really like the Fitzgibbon is a very short window. We played our first match in early January, and then we were in the semi-final there last week at the start of February. So it's a very, very tight schedule. So you're just, I suppose, going from game to game, kind of concentrating on the things that went well and trying to tweak a few things that didn't go as well. And we used maybe 24, 25 players. So lots of different guys coming in and making an impact, and that was good. And that was very positive, and we I think we got an impact from all the panel. They really really committed to the whole thing.
Particularly, even I suppose UL took that lead early on in the first half in the semi final, but some of the scores from distance from your side and the way they fought to get back into that game really impressive.
Yeah, I suppose the first half we probably weren't happy with ourselves in the first half. We missed a nice bit, and we probably let UL come on to us a small bit. The conditions were tricky as well. There was probably a stronger breeze there than we would have expected. We did start. Darren Neary got a brilliant goal to start the game, and that kind of set us up. But we probably gave back 3 or 4 points, kind of handy then. But the team were very good to figure it out, and I'd say that's what they did. They figured it out in the first half, and in the second half, really a lot of guys just really came into their own. Daniel Comer there, super period there in the second half where just really attacked it, and that was the same for a number of our players. They had a right cut, and we created a lot of chances in the second half and took a lot of them, and got ourselves from 5 points down to level right down the stretch. So that was very positive. So a lot of very good performances from the team, which was a positive.
You mentioned the free, obviously. Were you hopeful when it came to that goal mouth scramble? Because I don't know if you've seen back the replay of it, but it did get very, very close to rattling the net there.
It did, yeah. The ball kind of hung around there for a good length of time, and just flashed and just flashed by Cullen Clean, and he got a right bang in the head at the same time, but you couldn't actually see it in the TV clip. But look, it could have probably popped into the goal just as handy, But yeah, we were 2 points down, so we probably had to. Didn't really have the amount of time to get a point and then another point. But but the lads absolutely kept going to the end, and you could see that they really gave their all, really try and get a result.
There was obviously setbacks too. Obviously, you lost Charlie Mitchell and Tiergainen as well with injuries. That probably made you go deeper into your squad, but as well, those players were big losses.
Yeah, it is. Look, we had a good, strong panel, and we did. Look, Charlie was played. Both Charlie and Tur started the first game against UCD, and made a huge impact in that game. And we didn't get them again really after that, just through injuries, and look, we're hoping Charlie will be back soon, for himself, which would be great, and Tur featured for Offaly then after that, So yeah, look, they're quality players and great lads, and no question they were lost, but it was an opportunity for other guys to step in, and other guys did step in and had great performances, and that's the nature of it, lads get their chance and try and step in and see where it can take them, and we would dearly have loved it to take us to Croke Park on Friday, but that's not to be, unfortunately. So yeah, that's the way it goes.
How would you sum up your Fitzgibbon campaign then overall?
Yeah, I think it's one of progress, Paul. I think we would have, like, I suppose what as management group, we were just trying to um, prepare the lads as best we can. And, you know, you probably have lads with intercounty panels and lads, very, very good club players. And I suppose what you're hoping to do is send them back to the clubs, better players, and have them learned from the experience. And you're hoping that it's a brilliant, brilliant competition if it's given. And we were just trying to do the best for, I suppose, for the University of Galway and for the players that we had. And I think we did that. I think we prepared for all the games really well, and the lads were really committed to it and gave it a great effort. So I think we made progress from last year. Certainly, um, I think we would like to have gone further, and we had the opportunities to go further, and that's a disappointment for us. But I think I think uh, I think we did a good all campaign all the same, and put it up to a very good UL team. It's kind of star-studded UL team. But I think they were maybe lucky to escape last week with a win. It could have easily went our way.
Uh, just looking at the team then overall throughout Fitzgibbon, as I mentioned, we had a couple of injuries, but I suppose we had Sam O'Farrell from Tipperary, Dan Burke from Offaly, and Patrick Taff as well, and Fiachra O'Brien, but then a large contingent of Galway players obviously there. There's obviously a huge talent coming through when you look at all the different clubs represented from Galway throughout this Fitzgibbon Cup squad overall.
Yeah, I think like I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, Paul, but huge contribution from many clubs across Galway, and all those players really committed to it. We would have challenge matches against Galway seniors, against Galway 20s, against the Offaly seniors, and against other club teams as well. So you had a lot of very good competition in the middle of winter. But and look, the big thing about Fitzgibbon is you're playing with players from other counties as well, and really there isn't too many opportunities where that happens, and certainly at the age the lads are at, so we probably just had one under 20 player, and the rest are all 21, 22, 23, 24 year olds, really in the prime of their hurling. Some guys will finish college now, and that's their last opportunity. So there's a small window to have a crack off Fitzgibbon, and that's one of the positives of it. And guys make try and make the most of it when they're in there, and certainly the panel we had there this year did that. But you did, huge amount of clubs across Galway. A lot of them would have featured for Galway 20s in the past, and some coming back from injuries and different things like that, but all trying to make a contribution. Some mightn't have ever played with the county, and kind of later developers. And then certainly you have the guys with the Offaly, Tipperary, Clare, and Galway panelists who very ambitious and take their hurling seriously, and really, really impressive guys, and really, really set a very high standard for the whole group.
You often hear managers talk about the Fitzgibbon Cup who are involved, Frank, about how it's unique and special. Obviously, huge enjoyment for yourself there to be managing in the Fitzgibbon Cup at the minute.
It is, Paul. Yeah, it just kind of didn't expect it. Just happened maybe last year, kind of unexpectedly, and it didn't work out great last year. But we definitely improved this year, and very enjoyable, very good management team there, some great coaches, and really really top class individuals who are and the college are really really invested in hurling, and trying to trying to do the best for sport in Galway and in the University of Galway. Yeah, look, I played Fitzgibbon myself a long time ago now. It's a competition I would have really fond memories of, and I just think it's a super super competition. And look, if a guy can, my feeling, if a guy can make it in Fitzgibbon hurling, he's a fair chance of making it in whatever team he's involved with, and it's very enjoyable. It's a short enough window,
Mm.
and you need a bit of luck to get you along the way in terms of injuries and bounce the ball as well. But it is a great competition and some great nights in Dangan and going to the other colleges as well. And it really, yeah, it's great competition, Paul. It really is.
You're probably sick now of the next question I'm going to ask. I'm sure you've been asked it before, but on the Fitzgibbon, do you think it's at the right window at the minute, or do you think you often hear people talk about maybe before Christmas could work, but that's obviously exams come around then. Do you think it's in the right window, or would you like to see changes to the competition?
Well, I would like to see a bit more time given to the players. I don't really think it's acceptable that some of the players are asked to play 5 games in 14 days. And that's look, for me being involved in Fitzgibbon, I'm looking for them to play 3 times for University of Galway, and then they could be playing twice for their counties. But I suppose I'd probably push it back on Crow Park and trying to get a bit more. Uh, I know there's a busy timetable there, but one quick change I would have thought is push one of the round of matches to next weekend. Okay, guys involved in the Fitzgibbon final can't play in it, but that's only 2 teams, so there's ways of trying to free up a bit more space away from the National Hurling League, because these are all ambitious players. They want to play for their county. We want them to play for their county, but you just would like a bit more time. Um, I don't know, with going before Christmas, then you're pushing into the clubs, the back end of the club competition, and we 2 players from Loughrea, and they were very keen to play Fitzgibbon as well, but that could only happen once Loughrea were finished, really, so it's it's difficult to get the right time, but it probably is January, but maybe it's freeing up a bit of space from the National Hurling League and pushing that a bit more into February, and okay, you might have the final or semi-final in the start of February, but maybe the intercounty guys would have to do it out those players, which isn't ideal either, but maybe it's something around that lines, Paul, but I think it's probably up to Crow Park to look after the players a bit better in terms of, um, I don't think 5 games in 14 days is acceptable.
Do you think something like the players playing in Fitzgibbon and maybe counties don't touch them until their college are knocked out of the Fitzgibbon? Because if you look at the minute, there is a lot of counties carrying close to 40 players at the minute throughout the National Hurling League. So it does feel like there is maybe squads there at the minute to cope without some of these players, maybe for a week, 2 weeks, or 3 weeks.
Yeah, I think look, it depends on the panel, and sometimes it just depends on the year as well. You could have the county panel with an awful lot of younger lads being introduced, and then it becomes a bit more challenging. Um, so I look, I don't have the full solution, Paul. I
Mm.
don't, and there's guys above my pay grade in Crow Park and stuff, and I hope they try and figure it out. But I do think maybe there's too much in January. In terms of league, I think there was only 3 rounds this year, maybe, and maybe that's too much. And like if because like as you go further in the competition, there's less teams involved. So if you had a round of matches next weekend, there's only 2 teams. That's only really impacting 2 teams, Mary I and UL in the final. So it doesn't become as much of an issue. You might have 2 or 3 players from each of the county pounds impacted then, um, but definitely it's worth trying to put the effort in getting a better solution. Um, uh, than's currently there at the moment.
Because even if you look at it from an overall context, the way 17s and 20s is at the minute, this is nearly, I suppose, the building block for players between 20s and senior now, isn't it?
I think it is. I think it has been for a long time, Paul. Just 20s are still young, and you do have your one or two exceptional players that an intercounty manager might need from a 20 setup, but they're young. Whereas the Fitzgibbon guys are, you'll see on Friday now. You could have 20 intercounty players playing on Friday night, maybe more. You know, and that's just the way it's gone. I suppose the age profile is higher. They're 22, 23 guys making these Fitzgibbon teams, and you do hear a lot of the intercounty managers talk that if they they see Fitzgibbon, the guy playing Fitzgibbon is probably near making the step up than an under 20, and an under 17 is obviously very young then as well. The under 17, they're very young players at that stage. So yeah, I definitely think third level competition is closer to the intercounty setup than probably under 20s is. Yeah.
How challenging then is it, Frank, to be working with? Obviously, you're in communication with intercounty managers, but you're in communication with two or three different managers and probably different schedules for those players as well. How challenging can that be throughout a Fitzgibbon Cup campaign?
Look, it's pretty straightforward, really. They're with the intercounty guys, and that's really what's happened. And the intercounty managers usually release them for the matches, and sometimes they might release them for a session or two, just depending on their own particular load. Like you're trying to look after the players really, and look, the intercounty guys they have a lot of resources in managing load, and that side of things, and we're relying on that for all intents and purposes. So sometimes they would say, look, certain player can't play, he's just coming back from injury or whatever, and we're trying to get him on the field if it's safe for them to do that. We don't want any player getting injured under our watch. If so, so we're kind of accepting of the scenario, but we would like to have a good preparation leading into the matches. But look, we definitely had all our players available, or pretty much all our players available to us for all the matches. So that was a positive for us.
Positive step this year with the final obviously going into Croke Park, as we mentioned this year earlier on.
I think so, Paul. I think everyone wants to play in Crow Park. Really, from my experience, anyway. I think it was a nice card available for all the teams. Have an opportunity to go up there. Look, to get the opportunity to run out in Crow Park for a national title. That doesn't come around every day of the week. So I definitely think it is, and I think it's important that given the standard of player that's there, that there's good pitches for the finals, and you can't get a better one than Croke Park.
How do you see the final going on Friday night between Mary I and UL?
Yeah, I think UL are favourites. UL will be favourites, and they'll have Adam English and Colin O'Neill probably back as well, which would be a big addition for them. But Mary I are good. Mary I have good players. And again, they have a few lads carrying injuries, and it's just whether they can play would be a big addition to them. But the way it's gone, all these teams have good panels, and even if a very headline name is missing, a very good player is coming in to take their place. So look, I think you'd have to make UL favourites, just given particularly the quality of forwards that they have, and the balance that they have all over the team. But Mary are good, so I expect a good game, and look, in a pitch like UL or in a pitch like Croke Park, it should be a very, very good game. Very be looking forward to watching it on Friday evening.
Yeah, that game obviously live on Friday night on TG Car. Just from looking at the squad, you've obviously had Gavin Lee, who's been involved with the Galway seniors over the last few years. But is there great pride there in seeing the way in particular Joshua Ryan and Darren Eary have really impressed for Galway so far throughout the National Hurling League.
Yeah. You're looking at all the players, and you're seeing them. You're hoping they'll all progress, and definitely Gavin, Joshua, and Dara. Have had a lot of games over the last while, but they've been very, in my view, very, very good. And in a great run of form. So it is good to see that there. Yeah, it is for those three lads, just see the form they're in is great. Yeah, yeah.
Obviously, University of Galway have went close over the last few years to winning a Fitzgibbon Cup. But even just from looking at the freshers team this year that's coming through, like plenty of reasons to be optimistic again for next year.
Yeah, so look, each year it brings a different panel. That's some of the really good thing about Fitzgibbon. There's a natural churn of players, just guys finish their course and move on. The priority is for guys to come in and get their education, but their hurling education is hugely important to them as well. So it looks like there's some exceptional players at fresher levels. So that's exciting now as well. And um, yeah, and then there's plenty of guys with a year's experience. Good number of second years made the team this year, which is unusual. Paul, they're just young guys now, so a lot of them got a lot of good time this year with Fitzgibbon, so that'll stand to them for next year and the year after. And then there's other guys, and next year could be their last year in college, so they're like this year. Ian McGlynn was captain, and Ian put a huge effort into the team and into his own performances, and driving the whole thing on. Because he probably knew it was his last year and his last chance. Greg Thomas, similarly as well. And probably Mark Hardy and Colin Cunningham as well, probably in their final years too. So really they put in huge efforts this year, and that's it's just great to see the effort they put in and the commitment they had to the competition and to the university.
You've obviously been involved with Ormore Mary as well, Frank, at underage level. You've obviously seen your fair share of young hurlers coming through Galway at the minute. The standard of these young hurlers coming through in Galway at the minute, are you impressed by it?
Oh, I am, yeah. Well, I think most of my hurling for the last number of years is probably just watching underage, and an awful lot of very, very good clubs and hurlers coming through, and guys very committed to it, and trying to push their game on. So I think it's all very, very positive for Galway, and and I suppose there seems to be good excitement with the senior team now, and younger guys trying to make an impression and are making an impression, and that's great to see. It's always great to see kind of new crop coming through, and performing at a very, very high level. But look, standards very high throughout the country. But to me it's very high in Galway, and there's an awful lot of good players coming through, and that's great to see.
What have you made then of the Galway senior hurlers so far?
Yeah, good. I'd say a good start. They've been right in every game, and playing a nice brand of hurling, and a nice freedom and attacking stuff. And yeah, so it's early days yet, but I'd say Mihal's probably reasonably happy where he's at, and um, league is really just about finding players and finding a style of hurling, and um, being very competitive in the contest, really. And look, you Cork and Tip are probably the standard bearers at the moment. So I'd say good start, and really it'll be the Leinster Championship that really defines the season, and seeing how that progresses, and to win a Leinster, I think would be a very, very good thing for the Galway hurlers.
A lot made over the weekend then, Frank, about refereeing in hurling at the minute. Is this just something that happens throughout the league, or for yourself, even being involved in Fitzgibbon, would there be frustration there when it comes to certain things in hurling at the minute?
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, I suppose I have to watch what I say, probably, Paul, in some ways, as everyone. But look, I think ultimately, I think for the game, we kind of probably need to make the game a bit easier for referees to referee. And if there's any tweaks that can be made to do that, that would make the game better. Uh, so that's where I come from most of the time, Paul, is how do you make the game is tough to referee, and how do you make it easier for the referees? Uh, and then you're just looking for fair play then after that, and most of the time you get that. Maybe sometimes you don't, but just I think to try and simplify the rules as best we can, uh, to, not to bring in complexity into it, make it simpler for referees to do their job. And I think if we can do that, I think it will stand to us, as a game, really, So that's where I come from in most of these things is how do we make it a bit simpler for them to referee it because it's a tough game to referee, at the moment. It's very fast and it's guys are very strong and there's um, yeah, it's not all that easy to referee at the moment.
We see some teams getting pulled with the hand pass, and then maybe other teams it's not so as strict by some referees. Trying to coach that hand pass because obviously teams are just so quick at the minute of at hand
Yeah.
pass, and then they develop the skill. Um, and you can see some teams getting frustrated with it, but it's a tough one because you're getting pulled sometimes for it, and then other times you're not.
Yeah, yeah. So again, it's probably look. I heard John Kiley talking about it at the weekend. I think it's back on the players really to make sure that there's the bit of daylight between and guys aren't throwing it. So if the referee can only call it as he sees it, but if it looks like a throw, he's going to give it. As a free, and it's just it's maybe just to keep see the gap between it and that it is clearly a hand pass rather than a throw. So it's probably back on the coaches really that one to make sure and the players to take responsibility and just if it looks like a throw, the referee is going to give it. Look, there's always going to be inconsistency between referees, slight inconsistencies, but look, if a referee thinks it's a throw, it's just going to have to blow it.
Just in Frank, I mentioned there you're obviously involved out in Oran, more Mary. Obviously, the new facilities out there, I'm sure, are absolutely fantastic for the club out in Renville. And then when you see, obviously, you're involved with your minor team this year, winning minor football in hurling, and the 19s or the 20s, obviously pushing Loughrea so close then in two trailers, and the seniors making progress too. It must feel like there's real progress going on in the club at the minute.
Yeah, there is, Paul. Progress is probably a word I use quite a bit, and you're just trying to progress uh, each year, really. Definitely the facilities kind of been involved in that project for a long time now. It's just in 2025 we made great progress with the opening of the 4G, and that's look, I think that's a huge addition to the club and to the county and to the region. It's just um, it's not getting any drier anyway, and it just particularly for the 6 months in the winter it'd be a super addition. So yeah, I think the club and the community are very happy with how that's progressed, and maybe later this year the grass pitches will two of them are seeded and the third will be seeded quite shortly, so they'll come on stream. So look, I think we need good facilities, and everyone needs good facilities, and it's growing population more and more in Mary, So I suppose the way I look at it, we've gone from two pitches, and we'll go to six pitches, and we do have an awful lot of players, and you're just trying to make sure that they have a pitch to play in, and that's great, And look, the underage has been strong for the last while, but trying to kick on to senior it will be a challenge. Like there's so many good teams around, but at least good players there, and it's just trying to keep them playing and keep them enjoying their sport. I think is the important thing there.
Is that the big challenge, do you feel, just to, I suppose, maybe you're not going to progress every single one of the players onto senior, but you want to obviously progress as many as possible, and obviously with this underage success, you're hoping it's enough to keep all these players interested and push on to senior level.
Yeah, look, the way I look at it is just it's like underage. It's all about a program of games. Can you give your and it's kind of a challenge for us. We'll have 17 and 18-year-olds finish from minor, and can we give them a program of games at adult level now? And they're very young, and that will be the challenge. But I think that's always the thing. And then look, senior club hurling is very, very challenging then to be competitive at that. So, look, you're hoping we'll be competitive too at that thing. But, ultimately, can you give a program of games to all your players is very important. And uh, progress at the senior level then as well for the flagship teams. That's important too. So.
Does it feel like you've sort of maybe established yourselves at senior level now over the last few years?
Well, I think the last few years have gone pretty okay, but it's they're a very young team.
Mm.
Still reliant on Garrod and Niall as really important players. So you're hoping they keep going for a good few more years. Because they are really important players. But the rest of the team are very young, so yeah, they've done good to be so competitive, being so young. I think so. It's just it's all on to 2026 now, and see where that takes the group.
Great stuff, Frank. Thanks a million for your time this evening.
No problem, Paul. Thanks for having me. Take care.
This podcast is brought to you by Hoare Chartered Accountants. Hoare Chartered Accountants are based in Galway City and are a leading provider of audit, accountancy and taxation services. For more information, visit hoarecharteredaccountants.ie. Joined now by Presentation College Athenry Joint Manager Mike Finn. Mike, first off, you narrowly got the better of St. Rifles in the Connacht final, and I'm sure it's been nice this week to have the Connacht title back in the school this week.
Yeah, Paul. It was like it always is in any time we play Rayfields. It was very tight game, very little in it. Couple of things went our way at crucial moments in the game. We were fortunate enough to give away a goal when we had loads of time to recover, and probably Rayfields were unfortunate in that when we got the goal, there wasn't very little time left, and just didn't have time to get back on level terms or push on. So we're delighted to get over the line in it. It was hard fought game and two fantastic sides, littered with good players on both sides. Great to come out the right side of it.
Does it feel extra special now at the minute? I think this is your fourth Connacht title in the last 5 years now in the school.
Yeah, do you know what? Like, I suppose schools hurling is a bit different. That you say it's the fourth in whatever number of years, but because you're turning over players all the time, it's not, for the group of players that are there, if it was their first or maybe in some cases their second, you know what? You get a short window to do something with your group of friends in school, and it's to take the opportunity when it comes. And yeah, like we've been very successful in recent times in it, but at the same time, just that's the nature of schools hurling, and that you get a short opportunity. The very good lads might make a senior team in transition year. Most lads are 50 or 60 year. You get 2 goals at it, and you have to make hay while you're there, I suppose.
Going back then to Sunday against Ravens, to get over the line and to get that goal late on, that was obviously just proved to be the difference between the teams.
Yeah, to answer your question, yeah, it was a key score in the game, but we all knew. I'd say I'm sure Rayfields would be the same. We all knew going in it was going to be a very nip and tuck game. Like, one of the things about it, because we've come up against each other all the way up along, juvenile, junior, senior, players and management, we all know each other inside out. And, hard to get space, hard to open up opportunities. And, I suppose, look at, we were fortunate to get this key score of the game when we did at a time when there wasn't much time for Rayfields to recover.
How is that, Mike? Because obviously there's only 6 teams in the Connacht Senior Hurling Championship, and then obviously you're familiar with each other coming all the way up. Eh, The familiarity there, it's obviously tough to prepare in one sense because you know each other so well. But how is that going in then to a Connacht final as the game evolves?
Ah, but I suppose you look at it in the competition as a whole, like it, you know, you, there's more than ourselves and Rayfields in it. I suppose that's the first point I would make. Is like Claregalway have a fine team, Gort have a fine team, like, and when people say like there's only 6 teams in the Connacht Championship, there's really only 6 teams in the Leinster Championship as well. They add in a couple of amalgamated schools in that to make it. I think they made it 3 groups of 3 this year. So that's the nature of it. I suppose at A level in the country, that's as many as what are in it. So the structure of the Connacht Championship this year was slightly different to other years in that you had a group of 3, and all 3 qualified. So you had 2 games pre-Christmas, which really, top team got to a semi, the next to it play quarterfinal. So we view that as an opportunity to look at everybody on our panel. We tried to do that as much as we could. We used those 2 games and a couple of challenge games against some of the B schools. I'd safely say like we have 46 in our panel, and they all got plenty of opportunities there pre-Christmas. What we tried to do as well pre-Christmas was we'll say Athenry had a good run in the minor, won the minor A. We gave them 2 weeks off after that. Anyone playing senior hurling with their club, we left them off. So we tried to kind of manage that. And then you got to knockout stages after Christmas. And, I suppose by playing Claregalway in a quarterfinal, Gort in a semi-final, Rayfields in a final, winning the 3 of them, it's a good way to win it, and that you played everybody, and you came through on top in all 3 games. So, you kind of showed you were the team wasn't top this year in Connacht at senior level.
You just mentioned there obviously 6 teams and hugely competitive. If you look throughout this championship, how hard is it to win a Connacht Hurling Championship?
Oh, this is my 3rd year being involved with a senior team, and none of them were ever easy. I can assure you that. Amount of time and effort that's put in by players, staff, even outside the guys that you see on the line on game day. For us to go to matches during school time, there's teachers coming for us. We train outside of school time, train in the mornings before school, train after school. There's a lot of time put in by a lot of people, and it is very enjoyable when you win it. And they're games that live in the memory for you, like, because like even I came out at Duggan Park the last day. I met Michael Ernst from Clemmerdale and Jerry Dempsey from Athenry. Both of them on about a time they bet Rayfields in a Connacht final in 1976, 50 years ago. And that brought back memories for them. So like it does mean a lot when you're there, and their memories you carry with you. And I suppose guys that were involved in former teams, you'd still be in contact with them and stuff like that. And like the likes of Conor Walsh was captain for us in 2018. He was probably on the phone to me the night before, and the first match texted me afterwards. That's I think for the lads that have been involved in it and have won it, they do understand how much it means.
It does just show even by the way you're talking there how special schools hurling and post primary hurling can be as well for people.
Yeah, like it's hard to maybe explain to some people who aren't involved in don't work in a school or work in other areas. Like we spend all day every day together. You know what I mean? We won a kind of final on Sunday at 3 o'clock. Every one of us, players, staff, we're all in work together Monday morning. The lads had to go in and do exams. They're doing their mock exams at the moment. So we spend an awful lot of time together, and it's when you get to go on a run and get into the All Ireland series and go on a good extended run like that, it's great. You get I think the players get a great benefit from it. I think it's something they can carry then into their own clubs and into their lads who are on county under 20 panels and stuff like that. I think there's a huge benefit to lads going forward in their hurling careers from it.
Just even back to the match, Ravens obviously race into a 1-7 to 4 lead. You have it back to 1-9 to 10. Obviously a few wides probably you would have been disappointed with.
Yeah.
Uh, then it's third quarter, they have it 113 to 15. But even as we were talking there earlier about the goal, is the finish and the last quarter, is that the most pleasing aspect from Sunday's performance?
I suppose you mentioned the 1-7 to 4, and I suppose to have closed that down before half time was impressive enough in itself, And while they did get away like 6 points away from us, we were creating opportunities, and we've a stats team there made up of a couple of TYs who are absolutely top class, Rossa and Sean Monaghan, and like they were feeding back to us. Like after 20 minutes, I think we had 12 shots on goal, 4 points scored. They had a 10 shots on goal and 10 scored, 1-7 scored. So we were creating the opportunities, we were getting the shots off, but we weren't converting, and we had some very bad wides. Like there's no hiding from that, and the lads know that themselves. We definitely need to be better in that area. But once we steady that up, you'd love to say we did it at half time, but we didn't. The lads sorted it out themselves on the field. We got to half time, there's only 2 in it. And then the second half, then we pushed on. We created a good few goal scoring opportunities. Some excellent saves by Oran in the Rayfield's goal. Good top quality goalie. Will be competing for the Galway Minor #1 jersey, I'm sure, this year. He made some great saves and kept us out, and it took a special chance to beat him for a finish.
How did you feel then on the pitch after winning the Connacht title? Obviously, relief to get over the line, but what was that feeling like, even with the players and everything in the dressing room after the game?
Oh yeah, no, they were delighted, and it's great to see that they do have I suppose a draw for it, or in terms of like it meant something to them. You could see it in them as clear as day. It meant a lot to them. And it's always the case. It always means an awful lot to the lads in Leaving Cert, because they know this is their last go at it. Like we're not really a school. I'd say I don't know. We never have repeats or anything like that. So they get one go at it in Leaving Cert, and I suppose to have something to remember when they leave the school is nice for them.
Can I talk to you about Kieran Lean, 114 at the weekend? People have become so aware of him on the back of his performances with Crowell throughout the Senior Hurling Championship, and again finishing with 114 again at the weekend, part of the Galway Senior Hurling panel. A lot of excitement about him at the minute, and rightly so with his performances.
Yeah, and there is, and he's a fantastic prospect. Like a few more now that are in there, like Brian Callanan from Ardrahan, and Jason and Aaron, who just left our school, Sean Murphy. There's a really good young group of hurlers coming, and he's one of them. Probably the fact that he's still in post-primary school is maybe people are like, but like that's becoming more and more common. Like we had Gavin Lee in Galway when he was in Leaving Cert. We had Tiernan Lean in there for a while when he was in Leaving Cert. You hear it in other counties of other lads. Darren McCarthy, I think, was in with the Tip Seniors, and he was in Leaving Cert. It's definitely becoming more common. Probably the fact that kids are staying in school until 19 now, and probably your average age of your inter-county hurler has probably come back a bit. So it's nice for him, and he will only benefit from the experience of being in there. As regards to that himself, like he had a fantastic year with Crowell Seniors this year, and it would be easy to forget. Kieran didn't really get a run with the Galway under-20s at the start of last year, and it would have been easy maybe to not throw in the towel, but but he came back and gave some fantastic performance with his club team right through the club championship. He came back with us then once that was over. We decided we were giving him 2 weeks off. Michael Donoghue and Franny Ford had other ideas. So, and it's great for them. I would say it's been so easy. It's been so easy dealing with the Galway senior management as regards Kieran and availability and training and everything like that. I generally would talk to Aidan Hart about it, but like they're they're excellent to deal with in terms of managing training load and all that, like, and we've worked along well together on it, so you know I just hope he continues to develop and improve, and we'll hopefully get another two matches out of him, but hopefully we'll be looking at him for a long time to come in a Galway jersey.
Must be huge for the players seeing him involved in a Galway senior setup too at the minute, is it?
You'd have to ask them. No, I'm sure they do, but you know what, Paul? Like we've a lot of fine hurlers. Kieran is in there at the minute, but like we've some lads coming up behind him there. And even for on the Rayfield side of it, while you have Kieran in there with Galway this year, I'm sure when Micheál and Franny and Noel and Aidan are sitting down this time, next October, November, they're going to be looking at the likes of Ty McCarthy, the likes of Jack Shaughnessy, these guys. There's some really good players coming through from both teams, and ultimately that's what we all want. We all want them to come forward and make a name for themselves at Galway level and represent the county to a high level.
It was a fascinating shootout though between Kieran Lean and Jack Shaughnessy. When you look, 114 for Kieran Lean, 113 for Jack Shaughnessy. It's
Yeah, but
probably
then at the same time, Paul, I would say to you, both defenders on them, like Gavin Maher on Kieran, held him to 1-1 from play. Ronan McLean on Jack Shaughnessy held him to 1-1 from play. And like these are top quality forwards. And I said this to them earlier after. I think the defences on both sides deserve huge credit. While there was some excellent scores got, probably the best score of the day was by Mikey Maher. He came up to the field and an absolutely inspirational score when Rayfields needed it. So yeah, like the two boys are two fantastic leaders, but like there's really good players on both sides, and yeah, as I said, like you just hope that they push on now and do well with their clubs and with Galway going forward.
You mentioned the clubs there, even from looking at your own team that started the last day. Clarenbridge, Clymer Daly, Kilkennyren, Craughwell, all represented on the starting 15, and plenty more clubs as well across the panel. That's the special thing about schools hurling, isn't it? Getting, I suppose, all these clubs to play together.
Yeah, it is. I suppose I do often think, as a Gart man, you'd be looking at it and saying, I wish few of them from my own club. But no, it is. Like myself, Gary Maroney, Ronan Badger, and Kieran O'Donovan was with us as well at the start. We've been with this group now since first year, and you've got to know the people over their respective club teams really well all the way up along. Like the nature of our team, this at the moment, we've a good chunk from Athenry, so like you're having to work closely with the likes of Paddy Kelly last year with the Athenry Miners and Richie Brady. You're just gone with the Athenry Miners. Because like you try and all work together. You're trying to get the best out of them and trying to figure out what makes them tick and what's their best position and stuff like that. And it doesn't happen overnight. I can assure you that. And it's been, I suppose it's nice to win it at senior level because it makes the 5 years leading up to that really worthwhile as well.
I know you've had your fair share of injuries now. Does the next 3 weeks give you time to maybe clear up some of those, or is
I'd be
still?
hoping something might come our way in some of them, but then the other side, like some of them are quite serious injuries, so I'm not sure we get any of them back either. Now at the same time, look at Ronan Murphy was our captain this year and has been just so unlucky with hamstring problems. Thought he had it sorted, came back and played 15, 20 minutes of the Clare Galway game. We brought him on and then just got a recurrence of it again. So look, if we'd be hoping if he gets the 4 weeks on top of what he's had already, that he might be available for the semi-final. Senna McDonald broke a collarbone in the game against Gort after about 40 seconds. And, so he probably won't be back. So, that's the nature of it. Same as any team at any level. It's under 19 hurling, they're men. It's a physical game, and you're going to pick up injuries, you're going to lose lads, but that's what you have a panel for. And we've 46 lads training, and we'll have 15 that go out and give a game to anybody. That's what we'd hope anyway.
You mentioned there 19s. It's the perfect stepping stone really for these lads to progress on to 20s and even further progress on to senior, isn't it?
And it is like it's it's a fair step up physically now from minor hurling, like it is, and but it fits in nicely, I think, between the under 17 Galway thing and the under 20 Galway thing. It fits in nicely there. I know from chatting to Gavin anyway, like he has great respect for the competition and was keeping a close eye on the games all through. And you know, you want lads that'll turn up in a tight game like there was last Sunday and will put their hand up and perform. And like we had 4 or 5 that did that. Rayfield's had the same, and I'm sure if Gavin hasn't been looking at them already, I'm sure he will be in the near future.
I mentioned they're 3 weeks away now from your semi-final. How do the next 3 weeks look now? Obviously, you'll be keeping a close eye on the quarterfinals.
Yeah, it will. At the same time, you're kind of managing their load as well, our lads, and I'm sure every school is the same. You've mocks going on at the moment, so kind of leaving them alone this week to do that. We'll gather again at the weekend and get going again. So like it's no different to training any club team, or I'm sure any Galway minor under 20 team at the moment. You're training 3 times a week, gym once a week, fit in a challenge game if we can, just to have a look at 1 or 2 things to maybe to improve on from the last day and give 1 or 2 lads an opportunity that didn't get an opportunity the last day. And just building towards the 7th of March and just trying to give the best performance we can on the 7th of March.
You've obviously been close to the Crow Cup over the last few years. Last year, in particular, Pres Athenry going so close. It's obviously something the school really want to get their hands on.
Yeah, yes, it is, and yeah, we've had a lot of close calls with it. You know, we went to extra time down in Thurles, got beat by 2 points in Tullamore, lost by a point last year. You know, you're knocking on the door, but like it's a very, very difficult competition to win, and you're coming up against guys who go on then to be like top class players. Like, you know, you go down to play St. Kieran's there 1 year, you're dealing with Adrian Moore. You go down another year, you're dealing with Owen Code. You know, that's the level of guys you're dealing with, you know, and like the first thing is that we're competitive at that level, and I mean competitive now as a county, in terms of when Rayfield's got to the final, very competitive. You know, we're thereabouts, went extra time as well. And like I'm at the stage where I couldn't care what Galway team win it once one of us does it. So I'd hope one of us get it over the line in the near future, because it would be nice. It would be, I suppose, it would be a sign of I think it would be a good indicator of the work that's been put in across every post-primary school by teachers. Like the quality of guys that I see when we go to matches. I went down to Raheen to a first year game there last week. Our first years were playing St. Bridget's, and you had Pádraig Breheny there training our lads, and you had Johnny Cohen there training St. Bridget's. And like, that's the quality of coaching that's in every post-primary school now in the county. And like I just feel as a county we should be looking at that and saying, right, how can we maximise the amount of time that we can, how can we maximise the amount of time Johnny Cohen can spend with the Bridges lads? Or how can we maximise the amount of time that Cathal Mannion can spend with the St. Cohen's lads in Castle Blakeney? You name a school and there are 2 or 3 top-class inter-county players there. And, you know, I think maybe if one of us could get one over the line at senior A level, it would be just to highlight the work that's going on there across every school, really.
It would be huge, wouldn't it? Because even if you go back through the Roll of Honour, it's been quite a while since a Galway school has won the Crow Cup.
Yeah, and look at this. You could find a million reasons why, but one of them is it's so competitive, and then the other one is like, you know, there has been years in the past where it's been very difficult. You know, you'd have various under 21 managers who just didn't want to know about it in terms of making players available. Have to say this year, excellent. No, couldn't ask for better people to deal with than, you know, Gavin with the 20s there and the lads at the senior setup, and, you know, are making it so easy for us to put our best foot forward, and the same for Rayfields, and even the same with the senior B schools there. Portumna and Montpellier have their final coming up at the end of this week, I think. So, you know, they've made it easy for us to prepare as best we can. And and then, as I said, it's like any competition. When it's very competitive, you need everything to go your way. A bit of luck and running. We probably just didn't get that little bit of luck last year. You just keep knocking on the door, keep putting your head above the parapet, and hopefully one day you won't get shot.
Just there, you mentioned Rafels. Like, I'm sure you wouldn't be surprised at all to see them end up in a semi-final at all.
Absolutely not. And I said that to them in the dressing room afterwards. You often hear this talk about the last time a Galway team won it. If the two of us were in the final, there'd be none of that talk. So, they're a fine side, top class forwards, top class forwards. We'll put it up to anyone that's left in the competition. Like, I'm sure the Rayfields management, Franny and Ronan and Sean, they're the same as us. They've played the other schools that are left in the competition in challenges up through the years. There's nothing between the 6 teams that are left. It's very competitive, very even. The only difference between us and Rayfields right now is they have to win 2 games to get to the final. We've won. That's the only difference. But have they ever a chance of getting there? Absolutely.
Have you been able to watch much of the other provinces in Leinster and Munster?
Yeah, you watch a bit of it, but you still don't know. From our point of view, we don't know who we're playing yet. We're playing the winners of Kilkenny CBS and St. Flannan's. And both of them, we'd have played them in challenges over the years, and we'd be familiar enough with them. They're actually 2 schools that we'd get on really well with. There'd be 2 schools we'd nearly always play each other in first year juvenile all the way along. Every year you have 3 or 4 games against both of them. So again, 2 schools who put huge work into hurling no more than ourselves. I suppose 2 schools that, again, no more than ourselves and a few more schools see the value in it for kids like that. They do get a value out of it. So as I said, it just won't be easy. You've top quality schools with top quality coaches, and you're just hoping to be competitive, and no difference to that day. Just be there with 5 minutes to go, and hopefully it'll swing your way.
You just mentioned earlier on, Mike, about, I suppose, some of last year's team and Jason Rabbit and Aaron Island, Brian Callan, Sean Murphy, and these players going on and being part of the Galway senior panel this year. And you've obviously been involved in club hurling in Galway over the last few years with different clubs. In an overall context of where Galway hurling's at the minute, where do you feel it is?
Oh, yeah, no. Look, I think there's loads of really good players coming. Like it's there's a real freshness about the Galway senior setup at the minute. I think all our jobs now for the next couple of years, just get in behind them, support the young lads coming through, support the management who are there. Couldn't ask for better people. Could not ask for better people to be over our 17s, 20s, seniors, what's there now. So Galway hurling is a small community. Like, we all know each other. That they're top class people there, and it's just, I suppose, from a school's point of view, our job is to keep lads coming through. And I think it might take a year or 2, but I think we're going to be really competitive again in a couple of years' time. And the work that's been put in, whatever about anything else, I don't think there's any stone being left unturned at any level. From county board, hurling committee, the managements that are there, right down on. Every effort has been made, and everything is there for the players to get the most out of themselves, I think. So hopefully that will be competitive going forward.
Really promising so far, hasn't it been, throughout the National League? And even if you're looking at the 20 squad this year as well, it seems to be a really good team there too as well.
I know, look, yeah, it is. It's certainly nothing to be negative about. There's loads of good young lads coming, and I said, look, I suppose they've their first 2 league games played, and they'll have learned a lot from that, I'm sure, and they'll push on now over the next phase of the league matches and into the Leinster Championship, and that hopefully they'll be improving as they go. And same with the under-20s, like, good group there, led by a good group of people. You'd hope that'll go well as well. Could do it going well in that competition, haven't gone well in it for the last couple of years. And then the same with the minor, like, minor's funny one in Galway, isn't it? We got so fixated with winning it, we think we have to win it. We don't have to win it, we just have to be competitive, and we have to be bringing through players. And if we can be picking up 2 or 3 out of it every year, that's what we need to be doing. So hopefully that we continue on that vein. You look at the lads that are there in minor this year, like Ty McCarthy's a fantastic prospect. was out there playing a schools under 19 competition and physically didn't look out of place in any way, shape, or form. Like that had still another 2 years to go. So like he's a really good prospect, and like there's loads of them there. In both schools and beyond, and there's loads of good hurlers coming through, and it's just to hopefully that they'll be given the chance to develop and push on.
You've been obviously involved in club hurling then as well over the last couple of years. The Premier Intermediate and Premier Junior coming this year. Do you feel it's the right decision across the championships to implement this?
Yeah, but I do anyway. Yeah, and I've been kind of involved every which way, like senior and that with Gort and then down along. But the senior B competition for the last couple of years was kind of, it was a nothing competition really. I like the thing that we have 3 competitions now, and everyone's starting off, and they have a pact to win in All Ireland. I think that's important, and I think it applies to hurling football across the country. Every competition should start off right, and you should have a chance of making your way to an All Ireland final at the end of the rainbow, so to speak. So we have that in Galway now, without even a draw being made. If you look at the 16 teams that are written down for that Premier Intermediate Championship, it's going to be an absolutely brilliant competition. It will be so competitive. So I think it's going to be a great success. I think we'll be sitting down next November saying we should have done this 5 years ago. And I think everyone will benefit from it. You'll have 16 senior teams who are going out there, and that'll be a competitive competition. 16 intermediate teams, it'll be a competitive competition. And you have the 10 teams who will be in the junior competition. And again, you'll have a competitive competition. And that's what you want.
Absolutely. Great stuff, Mike. Thanks a million for your time, and best of luck in the Crow Cup semi-final as well.
All right. Thanks, Paul.